Good afternoon, everybody. This is my Chiefs brief or Chiefs update. Again, I'm Assistant Chief Adam Jackson, Health and Safety. And I thought I'd mix it up a little bit and come to you from one of my favorite places, the weight room. I try to start every day with a workout. Really helps me get into that right mental frame, helps decrease my stress level, a lot of free-flowing thoughts throughout my brain, so then I can get into that office and do some good work. And I'm going to talk to you about some of that good work that we've been doing, where we're going to go in the future. And we're going to mix in a few of my favorite workouts in between. So the value that I want to talk about is competence and professionalism. The Chief wants us to each talk about different values, and that one's near and dear to me. One of the key components of that is to be a lifelong learner. My entire time on the job, I've always prided myself in continuing to challenge myself by going to outside training, listening to podcasts, reading books, continuing to be a student of the fire service. I think it's incumbent upon all of us to continue to try to do that. Don't give in to complacency. Continue to push yourself, continue to push the limits. We need to hold each other accountable. One of the biggest ways we can do that is getting after each other when we haven't been in the weight room. It's very easy to hang out in recliners. It's very easy to talk about how tired we are. And I understand that, right? I spent 22 years on shift, getting up and going on calls, and I understand the fatigue. But a key way that we can be prepared as professional firefighters is to get into the gym. It doesn't have to be a long workout. It can be very short, but it's important to get into that gym and continue to work out to be ready to go on the call. Something I really enjoy doing, kettlebell swings. Every station has a kettlebell. If you remember right, the kettlebell, an easy way to start is thinking about hiking a football to yourself, right? We're going to come up to shoulder height. So I'm just going to demonstrate a couple kettlebell swings. Use a light weight if you haven't done them for quite a while. So again, flat back, right? My head's in that nice neutral position. I'm going to reach out to the kettlebell and I'm going to hike it between my legs and come up for my first swing, right? Just a nice couple, boom, right here, shoulder height. And back down. So, no need to get fancy and creative. Kettlebells, again, every station has a kettlebell. There's a variety of them. 6-1 has a ton of them. They brought a lot from home. But it's a really good workout implement. If you have any questions about using the kettlebells or you want some suggestions or tips, reach out to any of our peer fitness trainers. Another key concept of that value, competence and professionalism, is to mentor. We have to mentor. Now, whether you are a senior firefighter, you're a company officer, or you're a chief officer, all of us need to mentor those coming behind us. I've benefited from phenomenal mentors in my fire service career. And now I'm trying to mentor people as much as I can, whether that's somebody who's just taken the lieutenant's test or the captain's test for the first time, or it's another chief officer who's trying to increase their ability to be effective. Now I'd like to move on to the health and safety overview. What exactly do I do? What exactly does the Health and Safety Division do? Well, the main things that Health and Safety does is supervises the peer fitness trainers, the peer support team, the chaplains, and the chaplains were given to Health and Safety because of the behavioral health component. The department's behavioral health program, which is really made up of the peer support team, the chaplains, professional counselors and behavioral health specialists that we have, that all falls under all falls under health and safety within the behavioral health program. The safety committee is another area that health and safety is responsible for. I chair the safety committee. WAC compliance is another key area for health and safety. And a lot of times people hear WAC. What is the WAC? Washington Administrative Code, specifically 296305. Now there are a lot of different codes that firefighters fall under, and there's a lot of different rules that we fall within. The biggest one is 296305, and that's essentially the state law that lines out how we as firefighters have to act, what are specific things we have to do. I have it as a handy desk reference for myself, because I go to that quite often when people ask me questions. If you have a question and you're thinking, well, are we WAC compliant, or how are we supposed to do this? Or, hey, I have a great idea. I want to suggest this idea up the chain of command. Something I suggest you do is Google WAC 296305 and read through it. See if your idea is actually WAC compliant. Sometimes people bring great ideas to us, and then we go through and actually read the WAC together, or I'll read it, and I realize, well, their idea is not actually allowed under the law. okay? Or sometimes people point out things to me where we're not quite compliant, and we use the WAC to help define and clarify. A lot of times it's not super easy to understand the WAC. It's written like a law document. So what I do and what we can do is we reach out to L&I advisors. There's several advisors, but there's one specifically assigned to the fire service. And I reach out to that technical advisor and I ask them questions. This is how I'm interpreting the WAC. Am I doing it correctly? And they get back to me and say, yes, you are, or no, you're not. They're really, really helpful. So we use them quite a bit. What have we done so far? Well, one of the biggest programs we've put in place is the Tactical Athlete Program. As a reminder, we went live with that program last April 2018. And the idea was to do a 2-year pilot with the program to see its effectiveness. From last April to May 30th of 2019, we've had 137 people use the system. And that is a compilation of spouses, children, but the vast majority are our firefighters. And the vast majority of the injuries are actually off-duty injuries. About 2.5 to 1 off-duty to on-duty. But so far the program's proven very effective. I've heard a lot of positive results from the field, emails, people stopping by the office and telling me, hey, really appreciate the Tactical Athlete system. Pete's on it, right? Pete is the person, when you call the number, you talk to Pete, right? And Pete will ask you, he's really that intake person. He'll ask you what you hurt, what were you doing. He helps set up all the appointments. And then after each and every appointment, he follows up with you, usually by text. Oftentimes, he'll even kind of prepare you for the next appointment and say, hey, talk about this or ask the doctor about that. So again, the program has been very, very successful. I've been spending the last couple of weeks analyzing the results and trying to look at key performance indicators and return on investment. A lot of people ask me, well, how much have you saved on the program? It's really a wide variety, and it's hard to clarify because everyone's injuries are different, right? Sometimes we have on-duty injuries that take a while for L&I to approve. Other times, the doctor wants conservative treatment, or the member. We've had members delay treatment up to 50 to 60 days because of their schedule. So when that happens, it really kind of skews the numbers, right? So I'm trying to sift through the data and figure out, is the system effective? Should we continue to do it? So far, I think we can say confidently that yes, it's effective, and that I'm going to recommend we continue to do the system and sign an additional contract with Tactical Athlete moving forward. There's specific instances, and I'll highlight one, Jesse Fox. Jesse tore his bicep on duty. Many people know that. He was trying to catch a medicine ball, which I'll demonstrate in a few minutes, with one hand. And by his own admission, he shouldn't have done it that way. It was awkward. He tried to catch it out away from his body. He tore his bicep, right? And Jesse was able to have surgery within 25 hours. Now, a West Pierce firefighter had the same injury 2 months later, and I was able to get the data from West Pierce and track their injuries, track their time frames, and granted, they're different people. I understand that there's different heal times, but when we had the same injury, both on duty, both firefighters, torn biceps, we looked at those time frames. And Jesse's one injury, we were able to save $25,000 in overtime savings because he was able to get back to duty much faster than the West Pierce firefighter. That specific injury was one of the main compelling reasons why West Pierce has decided to join the Tactical Athlete system. In addition to our department, Pierce County Sheriff has also joined the system, and they're a member as well. And they have 700 between the deputies and the corrections staff. So Tactical Athlete is expanding in Pierce County. It's also expanding in Kitsap County and Thurston County. Now, I've gone around to different departments and I've talked about Tactical Athlete. I get a lot of phone calls from it. And sometimes people will say, well, hey, Adam, why are you going down and talking to Thurston County, or why are you going to King County or Kitsap County and talking about the system? There's really two main reasons why I'm doing it. The first reason is for you. Most of us don't live just in Pierce County. We live all over the place. And granted, we're never going to have a system big enough to get everybody living everywhere. But if we get to several different counties surrounding Pierce County, and we get the system in those counties. For example, there's a lot of us that live in Thurston County. Now, if one of us hurts ourselves down there, currently we'd have to travel up to Pierce County to see one of the Tactical Athlete docs. If we have the network in Kitsap, we have the network in Thurston, I could then go to Olympia Orthopedics, and I could go to a PT clinic in Olympia to get my rehab. So I really want the network to be bigger so that our members can access the system wherever they live, really, within reason. Another reason is it's everybody should have it, right? Every first responder, whether you're a police officer or firefighter, should have the same quick access to care that we've been receiving. Right now, with those 137 users, we've averaged 2 days to see an orthopedic. That includes holidays, weekends, our members not being able to get in for a certain amount of days. We typically are averaging 24 hours when you really look down at the majority of the numbers. So we're seeing an orthopedic surgeon within 24 hours of injury most of the time. That's unheard of. We're averaging 8 days for PT and 8 days for an MRI as well. And again, the numbers are varied. There's a lot of instances where people are getting into PT within 24 hours, 48 hours, or having an MRI done within 24 to 48 hours. So far, I think the system's been a success. Moving forward, we're going to try to refine our key performance indicators and really try to track things to see how much better is it? How much money are we saving? Our old historical data is not that great, so it's hard to try to compare what we've done historically to what we're doing now, but we're going to continue to work on that. The peer support team has been another big effort that we've put in place. The team has gone really, really well. The program has been adopted very well and very quickly, much faster than I thought, to be honest with you. We're really moving forward with behavioral health in the fire service, and that is great to see. It's absolutely key for a healthy firefighter to have not only physically healthy, but mentally healthy, right? And the program's going so well that we're expanding the team to 20 peer support members, 15 on shift. We're getting those additional members trained up this summer, and they'll be joining us. Another big effort we're working on is a regional peer team concept. Pierce County does not have a regional response for behavioral health. For a long time, we had a CISM team, and they were able to be called up, and they could respond anywhere within the county. But that stopped about 10 years ago. So when there's been a big event, like the Amtrak train derailment or a suicide, like what happened in Orting, our team has gone. We've gone to Graham, we've gone to DuPont, we've gone to Lacey, we've gone to East Olympia to assist those departments in times of need. And when we sat down and talked about it, we realized we need to help not only other departments with their peer teams, which we have. We've worked with West Pierce, Gig Harbor, Graham, Orting, Lacey, and South Snohomish County Fire and Rescue with their peer teams. But another effort we're working on is this concept of a Pierce County peer team. And the idea being that every police and fire department in the county should have a peer team. We need to be delivering those resources daily, weekly, monthly to our own members, whether you're a small department and you have 2 peers, or you're a big department and you have 20 or 30 peers. Everybody needs peer support in the county. And then if there's a large incident that is overwhelming to that department, the idea is we could, through the DEM, we would activate that county peer team, and then we would, just no different than whether we send a BLS strike team or an engine strike team, we would send a peer team strike team. So different departments would send a couple of peers, we'd meet up, and we'd go deliver peer support to the department that is requesting it. Now the idea started with just a few of us meeting at DEM about a year ago, and now we're up to 20 different people. Now it's a big number, but the good thing is the chiefs are realizing the importance of it. I've delivered the message to the fire chiefs, and I'll be delivering the message to the police chiefs next month to try to get all the chiefs on board and really have them commit to not only their own department's peer team and their own department's behavioral health program, which is really the key concept behind this, but the idea being that we'll have this regional team that we can draw upon, right? So that, because we're going to have a big event again. It'll happen. And right now, the way it happens is if someone happens to have my cell phone number, they call me and they use our team. That's not an effective or efficient way of doing this. We're a professional county with professional first responders. We need to have a professional behavioral health system. We're really looked upon as a regional leader in this as well. One of the things that consistently came up within our surveys, people said, you know, Central Pierce used to be looked upon as a regional leader. We want to get back to that point. And I can tell you without fail, when it comes to the peer support program, when it comes to our behavioral health program, and when it comes to tactical athlete, we're looked upon as regional leaders. We get phone calls constantly asking for our policies, asking how we do things, for lessons learned. And we are by no means perfect at any of this. I make mistakes all the time with this stuff. I'm learning constantly. But we're pushing and pushing and pushing because it's important, right? These are progressive things. There's certainly things that we did not have in the fire service when I started or when many of us started. And it's really nice to see that we're evolving in the fire service and we're taking these proactive steps. Another program we're continuing to work on is that EF Recovery Accident Program. People have been doing a good job taking photos, submitting claims. Something we didn't realize when we started the program was the amount of opposition that the auto insurance industry was going to provide us, as well as anybody using the app. The last legislative session, the auto insurance industry and their lobbyists came out heavily against the app, or against the program, excuse me, not the app. They're not in favor of EF Recovery and how it was rolled out. They're really not in favor of the program. Some positive information was exchanged. A compromise bill was starting to be put together, but the session ended. So with that amount of pushback, it's been difficult. We're still evaluating the program, whether it's an effective program, whether we want to use it to be able to fund our physicals, which is a huge initiative. I don't have an answer for you right now. Continue to do what you're doing, and we appreciate the work. Money is coming in. It's pretty inconsistent. One month might be $2,000, the next month is $5,000, the next month is $8,000. So we need to really vet the program. It hasn't been long enough for us to have a good, true evaluation of it, but that is an ongoing thing that we're doing. Speaking of ongoing things that we're doing, I'd like to demonstrate some med ball slams. You know, recently you guys did some battalion training and you did forcible entry, right? And I know Jim Goff taught some of that training, right? And something that is crucial to being good at forcible entry is having a powerful swing. It's having that core strength, right? Being able to generate the power to, swing the irons, open the door, force the door. We ask a lot of you guys, right? We expect you to be, again, professional firefighters. And a professional firefighter is a fit firefighter, right? And another easy piece of equipment is the medicine balls, right? We have regular medicine balls and we have hose medicine balls in all the stations. I like the hose medicine ball just because, I don't get to mess around with hose much anymore. So some med ball slams, again, you're going to engage your core, right? And you really want to work on a dynamic effort. So, boom, right? You can get some aggression out, be like, hey, not another Target Solutions. And last little one for good measure, right? So the medicine ball is, again, great way to work out. It doesn't have to be fancy. Kettlebell swings, med ball slams, get creative, right? You can go outside, find some concrete or a brick wall, and do the medicine ball from different heights, right? Waist height, overhead. You can throw them over your head. For those of you that attended the class with the medicine ball, get out. We've got great weather the last few weeks. We're going to have great weather all summer. Take the equipment outside. You don't have to sit static in the stations, right? Again, holding each other accountable. Let's go, right? I expect particularly those company officers to say, hey guys, today on the schedule, we're going to work out. When does it best work within our schedule? Let's get outside. Let's have some fun. Let's mix it up, right? But I want you to get out there and try to work out each and every shift, even if it's, again, doing some mobility, right? As a reminder, right, our foam rollers and our therapy balls. If you've got a tight back, tight neck, tight shoulders, right, you worked your legs really hard and they're just hurting you, this is awesome for that fascia release, and this is our awesome, again, trigger point areas, right? Every station should have these. Use them, right? Mobility is such a key component to staying healthy and staying functional. That's another thing that I get to do each day is I get to review the accident and injury reports within the Form 110. And I see lots and lots and lots of muscle strains. And that is almost daily. There's a muscle strain being reported, typically from lifting up a large patient or using some heavy piece of equipment in training or on a call. A key way for you to not get hurt, not come to light duty and do a fun project for one of us, is to stay fit, stay mobile, right? And here's some equipment that you can use to do that. Ongoing, what are some things that we're continuing to work on? Wildland PPE. That's a project that the WUI group is working through logistics, operations, and health and safety. Now this is one of those things going back to the conversation earlier that I said, WAC 296-305. The WAC is pretty clear on what equipment we need when we fight a wildland fire. Now we have to define, which we're working on, what is a wildland versus wildfire versus urban interface. But when we declare that it is a wildfire, there's specific pieces of equipment that we must have, that we have to have you use when you've been deployed into the field. So the WUI group is looking at different types of clothing, different gloves, different pants, and they've settled on a couple of different models. So what happens within the process is we have a group of firefighters making recommendations. They bring it forward, right? My job as health and safety is to evaluate it, run it through that WAC, and ask the technical advisors, is this meeting the intent, right? Here's what we think, and they get back and say, yeah, that's meeting the intent, right? So we'll be purchasing some additional PPE to move forward, to move out into the field. The PPE budget, which would be wildland clothing, gloves, right, bunker gear, helmets, all of that resides within health and safety, as does the respiratory budget. So the SCBA technician program, both of those programs reside within health and safety. But that's an example of how a WUI group, a group of firefighters, suggest clothing. Operations says this is the operational need we want. We discuss it with logistics of how is it going to be purchased, what vendors do we want to use, and then we run it through health and safety to make sure, is this being WAC compliant? Are we being, is this a nice to have or is this a need to have? Oftentimes something as simple as, hey, we just want some new gloves becomes a much more complex problem because we try to look at it from a lot of different lenses in a lot of different ways. I understand sometimes you think, why is it taking so long? We're not trying to make it take long. We're just trying to do a really good job so when we buy something, you actually like it and we can roll it out and be effective. PPE evaluation. Again, we have a couple members, Bradley Marin and Josh Ferris, that sit on the King County PPE Consortium. It's a large group. I think it's 14 departments up in King County that meets regularly to discuss PPE. And currently they're going to be evaluating hoods, the particulate hoods, whether that's an effective strategy for reducing carcinogens, or is it just using our existing hoods and sticking with that from a particulate barrier. There's been a lot of questions on that, and we'll be giving some good clarity here soon. Structural gloves is another thing that group is looking at. And when they make a recommendation and say, this is the glove that we like as the consortium, again, there's a lot of departments that buy off of that spec list. It's been vetted, they've gone to vendors, they've gone to different training, different classes. We can be confident that what they're suggesting to us is a good product. The Form 110. The Form 110, again, which is accidents, injuries, and exposures, I'll be making some improvements. I'm going to change it as well. It's going to be split into a few different forms, but they'll be with some specific purpose, and I'll be adding some additional questions on there. And really the questions try to go to the heart of the matter is, why did this happen, and what can we do to prevent it? Oftentimes when someone injures themselves and they send me a form, I email them right back and I have to ask a bunch of different questions. And some of the questions are, what could we have done to prevent this, right? What was the cause of the accident, or what was the cause of the injury? So I'm going to front load some of those questions into the form so that when you're filling it out, you can actually do that work at the beginning instead of me having to try to track you down and then we're going back and forth with emails. So that'll be an ongoing project that I'll be working on during the summer. PPE documentation. For the last several years, we've been having you send your gear out to Northwest Safety Clean and inspect it in-house. And as part of that, we've been having you go into the PPE software and document that you've done it and check those things. It hasn't worked well. I've had a light duty firefighter go through and audit that system, and our compliancy rate is very, very minimal. That doesn't mean that you're not doing it, but oftentimes things are being done incorrectly or partially done. And so what we're going to do is we've discussed it as a group. We said we're going to remove that part out of it, and we're going to have Pat at Central Stores do the PPE software documentation. What you're going to do is to continue sending out your gear, both sets, every year when it's the advanced clean and the advanced inspection. When you get a notice in Target Solutions, right, it's still posted on the master calendar. So the expectation is it is sent out. If you miss that date, again, send it to Pat at Central Stores. He'll send your clothing out. But all of your PPE, both sets of bunker gear, pant and coat, need to go out every single year. Even if it's still in the bands, even if you haven't worn it, it's a system that we're building, right? So to be consistent with the system, send out your stuff once a year when we tell you to. Check the solution or check the assignment off in Target Solutions. Right? So we're eliminating the PPE software part for you. We've taken that out. We've changed the Target Solution assignments. So when you go into the Target Solution assignment now, it will not say fill out the PPE software. But we have to do them twice a year. Again, going back to the WAC that I talked about earlier, 296305. State law says we must meaning it's not an option. Check our gear twice a year at 6-month intervals. We've chosen to take it to the higher level of sending our gear out as well, but we have to do it twice a year. You have to document it twice a year. Keep doing that. That's a state law. Goals moving forward. What are things that we're working on for next year and years to come? The biggest one is physicals. It is still an absolute goal of mine to get physicals for all of us. I'm working with vendors. We're trying to make that a reality. That will be in my budget request moving forward, and I will certainly be advocating for that with the other chiefs during our budget deliberations during the summer. But it is incumbent that we provide physicals. It is incumbent that we continue to use physicals to catch things. Early detection is key to maintaining a healthy lifestyle. And so we're going to keep pushing to get physicals for everybody. And then SCBA and hose cleaning. I think all of us inherently know that the fire hose that we take out on the fire ground and we drag into the structure comes back dirty. It comes back really dirty. And oftentimes, we're not that great about cleaning the hose. So we're going to look at some different ways of helping you to clean the hose to make sure that the hose you load back on the engine, the stuff that you pull when you're training and you're putting it next to your face and next to your throat, is not filthy hose so that you're contaminating your skin, your hands, your face, your neck, right? So systems to clean the hose and also systems to clean the SCBAs better. There's different cleaners, some ultrasonic cleaning systems that work really well. I'll be working with the new captain, Jim Gert, out at 6-4 to look at that system and see if we can bring that into place within Central Pierce, and so that we'll be able to really deep clean the SCBA packs and do an even better job. I know you guys do a good job of scrubbing them with the brush, the soap, and the water once you use them, but the ultrasonic cleaner will do an even better job of removing the contaminants. So those are things that we'll be looking at moving forward. Ongoing was always that WAC compliance. Again, the chief has said, make sure that we are WAC compliant, Adam. So I literally go through that document and I look for areas to improve upon, really, because for the most part, we're doing a very, very good job. But there's areas that we can make improvements. One area is our deputy fire marshal PPE policy. We really don't have a policy for our DFMs. That was something that came across within the merge. Central Pierce didn't have deputy fire marshals. They didn't have fire investigators. That was Pierce County doing that for us. So that was an area of opportunity for improvement for us. So I've been working with DFM Lorenz and Chief Overby to develop a Central Pierce DFM PPE policy. It's very comprehensive. Done a lot of research on this, really based on data and science to make sure that all of our DFMs are covered, that they are safe and healthy and safe when they do their job. The other area that we want to work on is updating our respiratory policy. We have a variety of respiratory policies, and they're really throughout, and a lot of them have some overlap. So another goal of mine is to consolidate those respiratory policies into one really good document. So those are the main things that I've been working on, that we plan on working on moving forward. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk with everybody. Again, I would encourage you, get into the gym, right? It doesn't have to be a long, crazy workout. It could be 15 to 20 minutes as a crew. Jump on any of the equipment. We try to have good equipment, standardized equipment at all the stations, so no matter what station you're working at, you'll know, hey, there's a treadmill, there's the kettlebell, there's a medicine ball, right? I have some weights. Every station at our department has a good weight room. You can go look at other departments. They're nowhere near our weight rooms, right? They don't have near the equipment. And again, if you want a Pure Fitness trainer to come to your station and work out with your crew, let me know. We'll do that. We'll send a PFT to your station. They'll help you work out as a crew. If you want any kind of advice, let us know. We've got Pure Fitness trainers with a ton of knowledge that want to help you out. So, are there any questions?
No questions, Chief.
No questions. Okay. Well, you guys have a great shift. Nice talking with you.